Welcome back into another episode of The Locker Room. I'm your host, Will Kronsberg, joined this week by a new guest, Brianna Walton. And Bri, today we're going to talk a little bit of playoff baseball, specifically the wild card games this week, heading into the next round, the divisional series next week. Which teams are you most excited about?
I'm excited to see the Cardinals. I'm not going to lie. That 17-game win streak really got me excited for them. I really didn't see them as a contender at first, but I really think they got a chance now after that. They got a lot of momentum going into the postseason. So I'm ready to see them this weekend.
Yeah, and the Cardinals, like you mentioned, that 17-game win streak, they've barely lost over the last month of the season, looking very strong. Of course, they will face off against the Dodgers in the wild card game at Dodger Stadium on Wednesday. It's a great matchup. The Dodgers were just one game short of winning the NL West and actually claiming the number one seed in the NL. They fall to basically the number 4 team by not winning that division. Do you think the Cardinals have a shot against the Dodgers, who won over 100 games?
I think they have a shot, but you have to see the Dodgers. They got a good bullpen. They got a great rotation going on, and their lineup is phenomenal. I mean, they're hitting home runs after home runs and getting the base hits, and they're getting the job done. So they always have a chance to me, and the Cardinals really have to bring out their best game to beat the Dodgers.
Well, like you mentioned, the Dodgers are a team that 1 through 9, and in the rotation, they have MVP after MVP and Cy Young winner after Cy Young winner in a full game series. But in a one game, like the wild card, it's a little bit more unpredictable. Shifting over to the AL, we have another team that 1 through 9 looks like an all-star team. The Yankees traveling to Boston, playing their arch rival, the Red Sox. Again, just a one-game series, the wild card round, tomorrow. And what are expectations for that? Will it be Stanton, Judge, Rizzo, one after the next, hitting home runs? Or will this be a game where the Yankees falter?
I don't know. I think this is going to be a close game because it's high stakes and it's a rival game. They always have a very interesting matchup year after year. So I think it's going to stay close this game. I don't think it's going to be a big blowout or anything like that. It's going to be a close one.
Well, I think it could be close. But it depends. The Yankees are such an unpredictable team, and the Red Sox are as well. The Red Sox almost won their division this year, just losing out to the Rays, as did the Yankees, and the Blue Jays, who didn't even end up making the playoffs. It was a very close division overall. But the Red Sox didn't make the playoffs last year. They had one of the worst records in the MLB. They come back. Now suddenly they're a playoff team again. The Yankees just squeak in over the Blue Jays and the Mariners. They have a really strong lineup. I don't know what to expect out of these teams. The AL East is filled with these really good teams, but they're so inconsistent.
Well, like you said, it's only one game, so who can ever be consistent? That one game is who got it. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm excited to watch and tune in. I expect a good game.
Well, that's one game, but the winner then has to go on and play in a 5-game series against the Rays, another AL East team. Can either of these wildcard teams beat the Rays in 5 games, or are they just sort of a one-hit wonder?
No, I don't think they can beat the Rays in 5 games. Like you said, they're just too inconsistent of a team, both of them are. And it'll be very hard to beat the Rays. I don't see that happening. I think the Rays will win the American League this year. I do think that.
Well, and then on the other side of the American League, you have the Astros and the White Sox, the other two divisional champions. They'll be facing off. Who do you see winning that series, and can they get it done in 3, or will it be another 5?
I think the Astros. I mean, they have a very consistent lineup. For the most part, they stay pretty clean and pretty good. They have good rotation as well. So I think the Astros have more of the advantage. And they've been in the postseason, the last 2 years. So I think they have a really good shot of staying consistent with that and winning it for them.
So what you're telling me is you're expecting the Astros and the Rays in the American League Championship, not a matchup we see a lot unless you paid attention to the playoffs the last handful of years, in which case you'd see them every year. But yeah, the Rays making it work with just a little, the Astros with a little bit more, legal and illegal. But yeah, I mean, I think the American League kind of comes down to the same players every year. You have the volatility in the AL East, but it's coming down to the same people. Over on the NL, we talked about the wild card matchup. Winner of that, whether it's the Dodgers or the Cardinals, will end up playing the Giants. A surprise team. Can the Giants keep their run going as they have all season long?
You know, see, the Giants are one team I just haven't really been too into. They're not my favorite pick of the NL. I think they do have a chance. Obviously, they're number 1 right now. They have the opportunity to be the best. But the Dodgers, to me, are still that top team on that side of the bracket. I think they have a really good chance of winning it all. The Dodgers do. So I think they're going to have a hard battle against the Dodgers. Or the Cardinals with this 17-game win streak. They're hard to beat right now.
Logic tells me the Giants shouldn't be able to win in a 5-game series. Logic tells me the Giants probably shouldn't be able to take any games out of the 5-game series, but they have a win percentage in the 60s. They won the AL West, or the NL West, I'm sorry, which is one of the strongest divisions in baseball, like I mentioned. I don't know how they keep doing it. I look at them, and the Rays are a team that's based on analytics. The Giants are more of just like a compilation of players who lost their way with other teams, maybe spent some time in the minors, but they're really making it work, and it blows my mind compared to the Dodgers, who are their divisional rivals, their arch rivals really, who have such a loaded team. Over on the other side of the NL, the Brewers and the Braves. The Brewers just grabbed that NL Central crown from the surging Cardinals. The Braves had the NL West for most of the season. I mean, the Mets led for a little bit, but the Braves were really the favorite there, even without Ronald Acuna. Who do you like in that series?
I like the Brewers in the series. That rotation, that's a tough one. I mean, it is. The Dodgers got the best of them this weekend, but that is a hard rotation to go through, and they got a good bullpen and Josh Hader as a closer. I don't see the Braves scoring that many runs against that rotation unless that rotation just slip up a little bit. But the Braves, on the other hand, they do have good providers with Acuna and Freddie. They have a chance, but I do hope the Brewers will make it through, and I think the Brewers do have the better chance of it. But the Brewers, their offense isn't as consistent, I will say.
Well, the Brewers, their pitching is really the story, like you said. Their offense, not a ton, and we mentioned a lot of former Cy Young winners, a lot of former MVPs on the Dodgers, and also a former MVP on the Braves. But the Brewers have players who are currently really good. Their rotation, they have 3 of the top pitchers in the National League, 1 through 3, which will win them 3 games in a divisional series, which is huge. And a guy like Corbin Burnes, nobody could figure him out for the first few months of the season. Still a very strong pitcher, and I just think it's going to be hard to get past that rotation, just like it's going to be hard to get past the Dodgers lineup. So I'm really interested to see who comes out of the NL. And on that note, let's talk World Series predictions. Who's coming out of the NL? Who's coming out of the AL? And maybe even give us a taste for who might win.
The AL, I have to say Tampa Bay's coming out of that. They got it. I just don't see the other ones really contending with them at the moment. But the NL, I feel like that's where all of the action is right now. I mean, you got the Dodgers, the Cardinals, the Brewers. That's where the action is. I'm very interested to see. I don't know where I want to go, but I want to say the Brewers in the World Series. That's who I want to say.
Brewers and Rays would be a very interesting matchup. Whereas you could have a matchup of the Yankees and Dodgers where their combined payrolls are close to $400 million, actually in excess of that. The Rays and Brewers is kind of like an underdog story. More so than the Giants, who, again, I have my doubts about, not from a salary standpoint, just from an on-the-field product standpoint. I think that would be a very inspiring story. Me personally, I like the Dodgers because of that lineup, and I like the Yankees. I know I just mentioned that's sort of like the two, like the Death Star winning in both cases, but the Yankees went on a similar to the Cardinals, the Yankees went on a 14-game win streak earlier this year. They have a lineup that can get it done. Rizzo at first base, then you're talking Torres and Urshela, DJ LeMahieu, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. They have a lineup that gets it done in every single spot, even Tyler Wade coming off the bench to make plays. And I just think they're going to be hard to beat consistently throughout the playoffs. And on that note, that'll do it for us on The Locker Room. For Brianna Walton, I'm Will Kronsberg. Thank you so much for watching.